John Beaudin, Rock History Music. How is everybody? Nice to be on here to talk to everybody on New Year's Day, but not the best of circumstances. I mean, sometimes we just have to take care of business, and that's just the way it is. Anita Pointer rather, of the Pointer Sisters, dead at 74 years old. Pointer was surrounded by her family and friends in Beverly Hills at her home when she died on Saturday yesterday. Now, think about this. Can you imagine the 80s without the Pointer Sisters? Can you imagine? I mean, it started in 1970 for them. But the 80s were really the sweet spot for this band. Let's talk about the hits. It started in 1973 for them as far as having a lot of power on the charts. Yes, We Can peaked at number 11 in 73. Their second hit was Fairy Tale the following year, peaking at number 13. Give you another picture there. In 75, How Long, Bet You Got a Chick on the Side. The Pointer Sisters had their biggest hit at that point with Bruce Springsteen's Fire and went to number 2. And then, of course, the 80s. Man, talk about having power on the charts. The Pointer Sisters. Let's look at some of these hits. It started in 1980 with He's So Shy, went to number 3. Their following year, they had Slowhead at number 2. Then their biggest album, it went 4 times platinum, Breakout from 83. 6 singles on this album, Automatic, Jump for Your Love, I'm So Excited, and Neutron Dance. They never had a top 10 hit after that, but it says an awful lot about, there's some of these great pictures of this band, right? And Anita. And everyone recognizes them, going back to... an era that is not around anymore, right? An era that we've kind of forgotten about almost, but an era that's special to our heart. Anita Baker's family released the following statement. While we are deeply saddened by the loss of Anita, we are comforted in the fact that she's with her daughter Jada and her sisters June and Bonnie. They're all at peace. She was the one that held us together, they said. Isn't that nice? Anita was the second oldest of 4 sisters, who started performing as June and Bonnie in 1969. Then they became a trio. Anita quit her secretary job and then joined on. They became a quartet and later became a trio. During the 80s, they were definitely a trio. They started singing in church. The Pointer Sisters are still a band, but Ruth being the only original member. Bonnie died in 2020 and June in 2006. What are your favorite memories of the Pointer Sisters? Again, I can't imagine. I got into radio in 83. I remember hitting the ground running, playing the Pointer Sisters, but Breakout. I was not the type of guy that would go out and buy a Pointer Sisters album, but I did. Let's read some of your comments. By the way, Happy New Year, everybody. Just so that you're getting it, she was 74 years old. David Carney, I love the Pointer Sisters. TDSM 19, we're down to only one Pointer Sister. Now, correct, yeah. David Carney, we are family. That's not the Pointer Sisters. Artist, but good point, we are family. Artist on record starring Attica Live. So Sad, 79 Fire, what a legend. Yeah, Bruce Springsteen song. Hey, Mark Burchett, how are you, buddy? Good morning, John. Life happens again. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Artist on record, Adika Live, Hitmakers, Oscar Stern, She Rocked. TDSM 19, We Are Family was Sister Sledge. Thank you. June Narito, I'm So Excited was one of my favorites. Well, let me just grab this. They never had an album that went 4 times platinum except Breakout, but Breakout was the album that I think people would buy even if they didn't like the Pointer Sisters. Every artist has that. If you don't like that ilk, that lane, but there's sometimes always an album that even people who don't go down that lane musically will pick up, and that was certainly the album, Breakout. 1983, I was just getting into radio. 6 singles, including the top 10s. Automatic, Jump for Your Love. Jump for Your Love, to me, that was one of my favorites. I'm So Excited, and Neutron Dance was the last one. And as I mentioned, they never had a top 10 hit after that. They had one more hit after that. But Not a top 10, but the body of work by itself and lasting that long, right, says an awful lot. As mentioned a while ago, the Pointer Sisters are still going. Ruth is the only original member from that time. And Bonnie died in 2020. June died in 2006. Yayoi, I hope I'm saying that. We are losing too many this year. Well, last year. We're now in the new year, but yes. John says, Happy New Year. John, Automatic was my favorite. Artist on record, very interesting that they started out being backup singers for Taj Mahal. Yeah. I'm so excited. It was my favorite. June Narado. George Rodriguez. Neutron Dance was a great hit. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. Again, it's an interesting thing when we lose people and we say something and come on live, and we are live on this channel. We all kind of reflect a little bit, don't we, about our own lives, and why not? It's a natural thing. If you go to a funeral, what are you thinking about? Well, I wonder when I'm going to be here. Losing someone that you respect, that's literally bigger than you, but not. They're not. But they're on stage, they're up there. They're on TV, they're over there. They seem larger than life. There's always a part of us that I think go and think, wow, that was a force to reckon with, and now they're dead. But, we all meet the maker. I'm not a religious man, but we all meet the maker. Anita Pointer of the Pointer Sisters, dead at 74 years old. Thank you for coming on. We had a dry New Year's Eve last night. We just decided to not party down. We had a rough day with our daughter. She's autistic. We thought we'd just stay home. David Carney, slow hand. Rob Chastian. Just a day or so ago at Walmart, I heard He's So Shy. I never tire of that. An anthem that shows guys can find love. Well, yeah, and when you look at the 80s, right? He's So Shy was the first big hit from the 80s for the Pointer Sisters. I've got it all written down in front of me. I remember one day some guy says, oh, you're looking at your notes and going, are you going to remember all those dates for all those hits? Excuse me, I was doing a Today in History, and there was this long list of things that happened on Today. I mention this a lot because I remember thinking, who has a photographic memory that can remember every single date and song and artist in one day? I'm going, duh. So in 1980, He's So Shy, which hit the top 3. Slow Hand followed that, which hit number 2. That was the following year in 81. And then, as mentioned, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention, you can't do a Pointer Sisters thing without mentioning Breakout from 83. 6 singles. 4 of them were big hits. Automatic, Jump for Your Love, my favorite. I'm So Excited, and the Neutron Dance. Neutron Dance, they just really let their hair down. But they all did with the whole album. And I don't remember it having a bad track on that album. I haven't heard it in a while. Eva Carney, Happy New Year, everyone. Shane McCrae, Happy New Year. John, all the best. I hope you all had a nice night last night. There is, I'm not a big New Year's resolution guy, but every year that doesn't hurt to think, let's get a little healthier, right? Especially when we're hearing about our friends. I was talking to my ex-wife yesterday. We're friends. My wife and I are very good friends with my ex-wife. And we were talking yesterday, and she was saying she had lost so many people in her life in the last little while. And I said, everyone has. If you're watching this channel, you're probably at a certain age, especially if you're resonating with the Pointer Sisters, that you're losing people in your life, or people are changing in your life. They're going through some kind of ailment, right? And so when we hear someone passing away, it hits us, especially someone who we respected, like the Pointer Sisters. And as I mentioned, the Pointer Sisters are still a band, but Ruth is the only one left from the heyday, because Bonnie died in 2020, June in 2006. Shane McCrae, Happy New Year, John, all the best. Thank you. Back to you. Rain Cloud Music. No, oh my God, not Anita. She was my dad's age, minus a year. Sad now. Yeah. But again, she was surrounded by, let me just mention, she was surrounded by friends and her family in her Hollywood home when she passed away. Her publicist, the family had released a statement. Let me just give you another picture here. They said, while we are deeply saddened by the loss of Anita, we are comfortable in knowing that she is now with her daughter, Jada, and her sisters, June and Bonnie, are at peace. She was the one that kept us all together for so long. Her love of our family, we live on each of us. Yeah, there you go. Some nice pictures. That's a beautiful picture of Anita, isn't it? I like that one a lot. That one too. Anita would be the one that I remember the most. TDSM 19. My grandma always says the worst part about aging was losing people and losing your childhood bit by bit. Well said. Yeah, well said. There is that. Well, human beings we reflect on everything, right? We bounce off of everything. It's reaction, action, and we look at someone passing away, and you can't help but, as I said a while ago, you can't help but think about your own lifespan. Or as I always quote Patrick Simmons of the Doobie Brothers, you can't cheat the hangman. And it's something I've said an awful lot, but it's true. I don't know if it's Ode Arvorode. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. Happy New Year from Sweden. Happy New Year. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Max Brand. The Pointer Sisters were a talented group, although overshadowed by other artists of the 80s. They still put their great albums. Breakthrough was their album. Say Breakthrough? Breakout. And Breakout had, as I mentioned, Automatic, Jump for Your Love, I'm So Excited, and Neutron Dance. Being a new broadcaster back then in 83, when that came out, I remember playing that on the radio. I remember the amount of requests we would get for it. You know, excuse me, sorry, just... Rain Cloud Music, happy and blessed 2023 from South Mississippi. Hello. Happy New Year. I guess my resolutions are made more tunes and less BS. Well said. Well said. P.S. What was that tune by Bruce Willis? What was that single? I didn't really pay attention to Bruce and Eddie Murphy's singles that much. Party All the Time was Eddie's single, Eddie Murphy. But Bruce Willis, I don't know. I forget. Does anybody know what that is? What was Bruce Willis's? I mean, I could look it up right now, but someone will give it to us. Nadia says, I forgot that we all die. It just hits harder when the ages of my musical icons are becoming much closer to my age. Well said. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yolanda Brooks, Queen of Sevens. I love them. Rest in peace, Anita Pointer. Yeah, in the beginning I said Anita Baker. I have this thing I've noticed as I get older. I had Ian Tyson who died the other day, but the Ian T that I basically talked about on the radio more was Ian Thomas. And I'd catch myself doing a tribute to Ian Tyson saying Ian Thomas. My brain's like that sometimes. That's an ism that I noticed, speaking of aging. And it's not good ism for me because I do these live videos. So I'm trying to be more aware. Yolanda says, I love them. Rest in peace, Anita Pointer. Max Brand says, they even started out as a country group, but they would go on to greater success. Selena was thinking last night about 74, 75. Dick Clark's Rock and Roll Eve, broadcast at ABC. In 1920s formal attire, did feature Doobies, Pat Simmons, and the late Olivia. J.P. Keynes, Respect Yourself. John retracted his Rain Cloud Music. Anita and the Pointer Sisters were featured on that. Bruce Willis, Respect Yourself. Is that what he had? Did he do a TDSM 19? Shane McCrae. Let me give you a nice picture here. Moonlighting. I remember Moonlighting. Michelle to his show. Michelle says, so sad to lose another icon. Rest in peace, Anita. Happy New Year, everybody. Dennis Casto. How can you forget the scene in National Lampoon's Vacation where they use I'm So Excited? Oh, yeah. Max Brand. Ian Tyson, great singer-songwriter, wrote Four Strong Wings. That's right. Rain Cloud Music. Thank you. Respect Yourself. Okay. There you go. Got a few pictures. We use a switcher here, which is just basically... There's the sisters there. That's a classic lineup from the 80s of the Pointer Sisters. Thank you, everyone, for coming on. I appreciate it. I'm going to just read a few more comments and I'll come off. The rule of doing live videos is basically if people are on, you stay on. You talk to the people who are still on, right? Subtle Shark, that's a great username. Happy, that's an oxymoron. Happy New Year, John. Keep rocking in the free world. Thanks, man. Artist on Record. I almost did the same thing this morning on our show, referring to Anita Baker. I caught myself on the live. It's not easy when we are live. Well, you get to know your isms when you're on live, right? Like I said, when I went on, there's Tony Iommi, the great guitarist. I worked at a shoe store for, I don't know, I forget how long it was. I'm always guessing how long I was there. I don't really remember. And I worked with a guy named Tommy Iommi. And after I left the shoe store, which wasn't long, I continued to be friends with him. So sometimes when I'll go on and speak about Tony Iommi, I say Tommy Iommi because I had that friend. Could you train your brain to get out of that? Sure. So when I was doing a thing the other day for Ian Tyson, Ian Thomas kept coming up in my brain. And I went, ah. So I had to write it in big letters because it's an ism of getting older because I'm 62. So when I was doing Anita, right off the bat, I see Anita Baker. Anita Baker is alive and well and doing another tour. So I have to really concentrate on it because of who have I used on live videos, whose name have I used the most. As an ism, it comes up as Anita Baker. That's just an ism. Just talking about age here, not Anita Pointer. Okay. Reading some more comments. Let me give you another picture. I love this picture here of the classic lineup. Rain Cloud Music. I just remembered the vid of Respect Yourself. The Pointers, oh yeah, I do too, were featured and sang their butts off. Oh, John says, hit the like button. Thank you, everyone. You're not liking the fact that someone passed away, but you're liking the fact that we're reporting on it. So you're saying that. Shane McCrae. Here's a weird anecdote. I got to play with Tony's fingers, LOL. Artists on records. I called Slim Jim Phantom Skipjack. I understood. I understand. Thanks, everyone. We're going to go do some editing on video. We have a lot of videos in the can right now. Mark Howard is a producer who's worked with Neil Young, Bob Dylan, U2, Peter Gabriel. We have that interview, Graham Goble of the Little River Band, a lot more David Page, a lot more John Helliwell of Supertramp. If you like that kind of stuff, we're really in the lane of classic rock, which is now from the 60s to the 80s, because in the old days, classic rock didn't really play a lot of the 80s, but classic rock's changed because the demographic's getting older. So we're doing that today and a lot more. And take good care of yourself. Happy New Year. Thanks for hanging in there with us, and take good care of yourself. Glad we're all still here. Huh? John Beaudin, Rock History Book, Music, Canada, all three.